Welcome to this week's Deep Dive. I'm really excited. We're going to be taking a deeper look at Luke 22 and 23, which we spoke about this last Sunday. We called this last week's message, Jesus is conclusive. What we mean by that is Jesus had set in his mind the cross. Jesus was going to make sure the cross happened. As the Son of God, he has God in the flesh here. He had many ways to defend himself. We already know that Jesus was clever. He could have defended himself legally. He could have put up this great argument and shamed the Jewish leaders and talked his way out of what was happening. But he chose not to do that. We know that Jesus can command the weather. We see that Jesus is powerful. He can command the evil spirits, the demons. He's over them. He's much more powerful than them. We see that he can even raise the dead back to life. Jesus is powerful, but he didn't do anything to defend himself in that sense either. Jesus was conclusive. Jesus is conclusive. He had set his mind toward the cross. But with that in mind, sometimes we think, of course, Jesus was able to do this because he is God in the flesh. You know, we think back to the temptation of Jesus and we say, of course, he didn't sin because he's God in the flesh. And we kind of belittle what Jesus went through. And even to the cross, we look at it and we think, of course he could because he's God. But I want to caution us with that. You see, he was God in the flesh, but he was both fully man and fully divine. There's this humility with Jesus, that where he has limited himself to his creation. So I want to take a little bit of a deeper look, and to do that we have to go back just a little bit to see what was really going on with Jesus as he approached the cross. Luke 22 verse 39 says, "And he came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. And he came to the place. He said to them, 'Pray that you may not enter into temptation.' And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw and knelt down and prayed, saying, 'Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done.' And there appeared to him an angel from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said to them, 'Why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation.'" Jesus is not having a great evening. We see that Jesus knows the cross lies ahead of him. He knows what lies ahead for him. And he goes to God in prayer in this garden, and he goes to him and he says, "Look, if there is any other way, let's do that instead. If there's any other way for me to both honor what you've asked of me and make sure your people are restored to you, let us do that. Please let us do that. Nevertheless, your will, not mine, be done." Jesus is excited for what the cross stands for, what the cross will accomplish, but he is not excited about that path. He is not excited about the beating and the mocking and the sham trial. He is not excited about the pain and the torture, the whipping, and then the pain itself of the cross. He's not excited about the humiliation of being hung upon the cross. He's not excited about those things. Not at all. And he's saying, God, he's talking to his Father, "Father, if there's any way, any other way, let's do that instead." But the answer, we know the answer is, this is the way. This is what God had set out for his Son to do so that his people may be restored to him. We see that Jesus is in such agony. He is sweating blood. He is so distraught, so stressed by this that blood is coming through as sweat. And even in that agony and even in that frustration, still he chooses to obey the Father, goes and gets his disciples, tells them to get up. It's time. It's time. So let's not belittle what Jesus went through here in this passage. Let's not dismiss it as, of course, he was able to do this because he was God in the flesh. Let's look at it as the humility of God in the flesh to submit himself to endure these terrible, terrible things. They were not lessened for him. He felt every blow in that beating. He felt every hit of that hammer driving the nails through his hands. He felt every moment of not being able to breathe on the cross. It was a terrible, terrible thing that Jesus endured because he saw God and said, I'm going to be obedient to you. And he saw you and said, "You are worth this." So as we go throughout our week, let's not belittle the cross. Let's celebrate what Jesus did for us on the cross. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you're having a great week. Temptation, and he withdrew. Last Sunday, we got to talk about. Nope. Welcome to this week. Oh my gosh, why is that stuck? Some coffee in me. No. He was set. Oh my gosh, why am I struggling so much today? That's a bummer because I was on a roll.